Maybe we're live. I think we're live.
No,
Yay! We're live.
Greetings, Nick. Mike. Greetings, chat. What's up, Rez?
Rez! How's everybody doing tonight? We're back. This is our every other week thing. It is an on week for us.
And now we're on the right schedule, so it's
We're
gonna be
on the appropriate
We're
schedule.
on the appropriate schedule from here on
Kinda,
out.
sorta, maybe. We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
We don't know yet. We don't know for sure. We're gonna figure it out.
Oh, you know what though? Now that I think of it, now that we're on the right schedule, the 6th is going to be
not
out
gonna work for me.
Are we serious? Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
because the 6th is well, it's the first night of Rosh Hashanah. I am going to be in synagogue. No, I won't. Actually, no, I won't, because I'll be done by 9, 10 o'clock. So never mind. I'll be here.
False alarm.
I'll be here. It's the Jewish New Year. I don't have to do anything special for the Jewish New Year other than
if you need that week, man, we can.
No, I'm good.
We can take it. We can take it.
Good.
It's cool.
I'm good.
Cool.
No, I'm good. I keep forgetting it's 11 p.m. here.
Sure.
Right.
We do have
False
this
alarm.
one like extra late.
Yeah.
Sandwiches in chat. We got
How's it going,
Fastback, we got
Sandwich?
Rez, we got Sandwich. We got people starting to kind of filter in here. That's cool.
What's going on, brother? Brother Chris is in the house.
Are you fast back?
So everybody's had things going on. I'm going to go to Mike first because he went to my home state and he played around in Gatlinburg.
Your home state is Tennessee?
Yeah, I grew up there, man. 25 years.
I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Oh man, I tell you what.
That's why I was like, you were like, you're going to Gatlinburg?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we stayed actually in Pigeon Forge, and then kind of hung around that area. So we drove to Roanoke, Virginia, and went to like Luray Caverns and some stuff because the kids, love that stuff. So then we went to so we stayed in Pigeon Forge in this like log cabin. Every day is Shabbat for me. Very good. We stayed in this log cabin type place, which is beautiful. And I gotta tell you, man, I would move there in a heartbeat. I would move into the mountains. It was just so beautiful. So
the
great.
mountains are much better than being in the valley. It gets really warm.
Yeah,
the mountains probably much more tolerable.
Well, and it's. I mean, so both of those towns are tourist towns. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely. It's a complete tourist trap.
It is. Walking through downtown Gatlinburg was not much different than walking down the boardwalk here in Ocean City, Maryland, where it's just shops and things like that. Now, Ripley's, believe it or not,
is that still there? Oh my god,
dude! Everything Ripley is there, including the. There's like 8 or 9 Ripley attractions there, including what I have to admit is probably the best aquarium I've ever been in, the Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies, and. There's some.
If you had a chance to go into Chattanooga, the Chattanooga Aquarium is actually pretty amazing.
So it may be our next shot because I think we're definitely going back to Tennessee in a couple years. My youngest son, rather, Spencer, wants to go back when he's old enough to ride the mountain coasters by himself. So
that's fair enough. Those things can be kind of hazardous.
So, and we did a ton of things while we were there. One day it rained all day. So that's when we did the aquarium and some inside stuff.
Right,
they had a Hollywood car museum where every vehicle in the museum was actually used in its respective TV show or movie. With certificates of authenticity. I mean, like the Batmobile and the General Lee, and they were stock from the movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger's Fat Boy that he rode in Terminator 2. They had an entire Fast and Furious collection. They had the original Love Bug from 1960.
I love the Love Bug. That's such a good fun movie.
Those are so.
How's it going, Panda? What's going on, Jim?
So they had a whole bunch of that stuff.
Jim.
Hey guys. No. There was a decent but not the best pinball museum. And arcade that we got that saw played some pinball. But then on Wednesday, which was my youngest son's birthday, We took him to the Titanic Museum, which you wouldn't think would be like in Tennessee.
Yeah,
but
that doesn't sound right, but okay.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been to Gatlinburg.
Not only is it there, but it has so many artifacts actually from the Titanic there that they're protected under federal copyright. We weren't allowed, with the exception of one room, we were not allowed to take pictures inside.
Interesting.
They had clothing and like salvage pieces and stuff.
Wow.
That was authentic. Like you wouldn't again, this is the last place you would think to see it. But the other cool thing was, as most people probably have figured out by now, and my religion, they were honoring the 67 Jewish passengers of the Titanic. So we also got to see some of that, and
Nice.
that was kind of really kind of neat to show my kids. And there was a room in there that had a grand piano that was a replica from the same company that supplied a 8-foot grand piano to the Titanic. It was a replica. And the guide that was in that particular room, this was the room where they talked about the quartet that stayed on the ship and played until it went down. Like what you saw in the movie was actually what happened, apparently. So there's this piano there, the guy's playing, and he's showing it to me, and I'm like, yeah, I know all the parts of the piano. He goes, oh, do you play? And I said, yes, I do. So he's like, well, would you play something for me? Now there's a room full of people, so he introduces me, and I don't know why. So I actually played. So this is video game related. So this is why I'm telling this story. So I actually played there was a bunch of kids that came into the room. So I was like, well, I could play a bunch of stuff. And I said, you know what? How many of you guys love Mario? And all the kids raised their hand. I said, all right, I got something for you. Now, I didn't play like Mario's theme because I didn't want to cheapen that. But I did do the water scene, the water level from Nintendo 64's, from Mario 64, which the name... I usually know. Ducks. Thank you, Dire Ducks.
Right.
I'm playing.
I'm glad you knew that because I didn't. I couldn't think of. I can't even think of the tune right now. It feels terrible.
Yeah, that's okay. So I played that, and on this piano, it sounds beautiful. The guy doesn't know what I'm playing, but he thinks it's some sort of classical piece I'm playing. But it sounds.
That's not that far off because a lot of Nintendo's music is based off classical musical pieces.
So I'm playing for this crowd. And they're like all recording me and all this stuff. And I'm like getting nervous. So then the guy says, that is really beautiful. He said, I know you're Jewish. I see your yarmulke. He said, do you happen to know the hymn, the Methodist hymn that the quartet played as the ship went down? Now I can never remember the name of the hymn. Something in the words of the title are something thee with God or something like that. I don't know what the name of it is. My son, my middle son Seth, would absolutely know. He is a Titanic savant. So the guy said, I said, yeah, I know it. I don't play it all the time, but I do know it. So he said, would you accompany me? He picked up a violin. And he's playing the violin part, and I'm accompanying him on the piano. And people are filming this. My wife got some video of it too, and he was just mesmerized by this. And so was I. Like, this is a moment that I am never gonna forget.
Right.
And so those were the things. So that to round out the whole trip, we saw this Pirates Voyage show that night, which, for the $60 a person that it was like a freaking Broadway musical. It was unbelievable. And they feed you like Medieval Times does, during the show. So we had this great time in Tennessee. We are definitely going back.
What I find funny is you went to like the tourist trap of Tennessee.
Yes.
It's nothing but like strip malls, cheap t-shirts, like really cheap, like medieval, like swords. It's like fairground stuff in the mountains that has permanent residence. And you had this like moving experience that like nobody gets when they're there.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, by the way.
Now we also did a mountain hike. So we did go up into the mountains and we actually did a hike. And I got to tell you, that is something to behold. We went up, good 2,000 feet, and there's a waterfall. I'm afraid of heights. So we get to a point to where it's a straight drop down. And I'm like over to this side, just going, you guys, I'll walk over here. But
Weren't you climbing like a climbing wall too?
I did. So, I got up that. Well, you're talking about like at a adventure park. I'm not doing the Tom Cruise, climb from Mission Impossible.
Okay.
No.
And it's like fear of heights, climbing wall does not compute.
No. It's the climbing wall was probably, at the most 50 feet in the air. I'm 2,000 feet up a mountain where you could look down and see you're at the top of trees.
Fair enough. But
that was very majestic. And once you get up to the top and there's this beautiful waterfall and then we have to make our way down. So I mean, there was some of that happened too, but you're right. It was, we kind of planned it to do the touristy stuff, but I think the next time around, I'd like to get into Knoxville and Memphis and some other places. It is definitely a state we're going to go back to.
Yeah, Chattanooga is a nice little town. There's a couple of neat little things in there to do at the museum, and there's like a ferry boat ride and stuff like that you can take. There's a couple of fun things around there. There's a lot of nice like walking trails and campgrounds and things like that. Knoxville's cool if you want more of the city. Memphis is good if you want to like dive into Elvis. There's probably more there, but it's most well known for like Elvis Presley's house and all that stuff, right?
Is awesome.
So there's all that. But before we eat up the whole hour talking about Gatlinburg, which I can do, it's fine. How was your weekend, Rob?
Not too bad. I mean, it was actually. I don't know if anyone knows this, but there are fires everywhere in California right now, as there are every summer. So every summer, California burns, and so there hasn't really been a lot of wind. So the smoke is just kind of settling everywhere. So I went down into the valley where we live to go to a birthday party, and I was just like settling into like the heart of this nasty smoke. I think the air quality was like probably in the 450s. So it's as soon as you started dropping down to this, eyes started burning, throat was all getting all jacked up.
I can believe that.
Sick to my stomach and all that stuff. And then as soon as I got home, you start feeling the sinus irritation. So it just was not that pleasant. But it's sadly it's something that we kind of get used to every year. At the start of every summer, it's like, okay, well, how long is it going to be before this area starts getting just surrounded by forest fires? Because I mean, my area is the quintessential suburbs. There's no trees here that aren't like palm trees, so that never in any danger of my own house burning down or even being close to the fires. But I swear, a lot of times it's like walking around a Silent Hill where there's just fog everywhere and literally just ash raining down.
It doesn't get that bad here, but we do get the same kind of forest fires. Stuff. Yeah, and all that comes in. You can see the haze, and you can actually just kind of smell it in the air, and the air quality gets crappy. It's not nearly, and we don't have like actual ash most of the time, like what you're talking about, because I'm far enough away. But yeah, I can definitely empathize to a level there, for sure.
But it was a good excuse to stay inside as much as I could and try to play some video games. So I actually dusted off my GameCube. I don't know why I had this wild hair to.
Dude, I feel like I should go out and buy another GameCube one of these days. I love that system.
It's a really good system, and I actually kind of have a project in mind. But I wanted to literally play every GameCube game I have. So I got through 3 of them out of 60 or so, but it was a good time.
Hey, you made it through more than I did, man. I spent the weekend thinking around with a couple of things, and I didn't finish anything. Yeah,
I was surprised. I was more productive than I usually am this weekend, so I can at least pat myself on the back for that.
I need to get the HDMI cable that plugs into the digital port, because I have that GameCube with the digital port.
didn't even know they had those. I think mine just had the RCA cables.
There's a.
Have any?
Hang on. I'll get my GameCube.
So we do have topics tonight, guys. We'll eventually get to them, I think. We're just kind of chilling and catching up because it's been over a week since we talked, really. Especially since Mike went to like Gatlinburg. I've been kind of leaving Mike alone so he could do his vacation thing.
All right. So on the back of some of the original GameCubes is a digital AV port. So it's the port on the right there.
Okay.
And now it's funny because I also have the Game Boy player. So, which is cool.
Nice. I never had that. That does Game Boy Advance, doesn't it?
It does all the Game Boy line.
It does all the Game Boy. Yep. So there's somebody makes it's about an $80 cable that goes into the digital.
It's true. It's true.
This is true.
Pete, good to see you, Pete.
Brother Pete. So anyway, somebody makes an $80. I think it's about an $80 cable that goes into here that will do HDMI, but it does it digitally, so you're not converting the analog. And
is that the one that bricked Metal Jesus Rock's GameCube? Like something happened, or was that an adapter?
I might have been an adapter. I'm trying to think. I'm looking it up now. There's one made by Eon. I'm checking.
And so since he's actually talking about this thing playing Game Boy games, that will actually bring us into our first topic eventually. So I'm going to use that as a partial segue to show the topic.
That's a good launch pad there.
That is.
Mike and I are playing that off backstage. Like, bring out your GameCube. Make sure it has the Game Boy adapter.
Yeah,
back on track.
Yes.
Hey, I'm easily derailed. It's late Monday. My wife's like, "Do you want to do stuff?" I'm like, "I got a stream to do tonight."
So, I don't know where Mike went.
Whoa! Where'd Mike go? Oh, come on, dude!
Oh, that's weird.
What the heck, man?
I have no idea what the hell just happened.
He's like, "I'm going to show you this awesome thing." Bloop.
This is why I don't do StreamYard. So
Nick,
everybody else has trouble with Skype, so I just did this because it's faster and simpler 9 times out of 10.
No, definitely. Because then if you use Skype, you have to use OBS, and then
and that's fine if we want to work that out and everybody's okay using Skype. Because I didn't have the same major issue with it that John seemed to have that one night. I mean, it really
Skype is what I use, so.
It just killed him. So you sent me a link, actually. So we're going to add this to the stream so we can kind of share.
Yeah.
This.
So the HDMI Cube HDMI adapter, and then there's one below it that's 109. It's a little bit more the Pro adapter. So there's multiple different ways to do this. So.
That's actually kind of nice. So you could actually probably still won't do much more than 480p. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think it went much higher than that.
No, which is fine. I don't need it to. I just want to get the HDMI, but I don't want to. I want to try to do it as best as possible. There's some cables do really well. Like my Dreamcast HDMI cable does great. My Saturn HDMI cable, not so much. Because it's not digital. So if anytime I can do a digital out, I'm going to try to do that.
Now, you've got that one other device that you were touting at one point that you used with your Dreamcast that kind of upscaled. Have you tried that with this since you got the HDMI hooked into it? I
don't have the HDMI adapter yet. That's what I'm saying. I want to get one. For
okay. I was about to say, because if you get that and it works with that other device, that might actually upscale things nicely.
Well, it upscales so that is the Marseille M Classic, which
that's right, M Classic. That's it. Yes.
So I actually have all of my retro, and such consoles hooked up to it. So Dreamcast, OG Xbox, Saturn, and this, when I get the adapter for it, will all run through the M Classic, and that'll upscale to 1080p, and then I can there's a switch on it to 4x3 it. So most HDMI cables, they stretch out the signal. The M Classic will 4x3 it.
I don't think I messed with the Vita TV.
Does not work with this Vita TV. I didn't know anybody that had the Vita TV.
You do now. Pete does. Pete's been really into the Vita lately.
It makes me miss my PSP.
I think I've still got my Vita sitting around here somewhere. I don't know where I put my PSP, but I'm pretty sure I got my Vita.
Yeah, my PSP died a long time ago. I was sad.
Man, every PSP I had that janky D-pad. Oh, you know what? Segue. Let's start into handhelds. Topic one! Topic one!
Very
smooth. Okay, so we just kind of we're all or have been at least, big handheld fans. Now, Rob, MrMatthews, I know you're big in handhelds, particularly Game Boy, right?
Yeah.
You've been huge in that. That was the first one you started collecting for, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the first when I actually started collecting games. That's the first console I went after. And at the time, all I had planned was to just focus on Game Boy exclusively. This was 15 years ago. 15 years ago. So, it was much easier than to walk into a game store looking for Game Boy games and, sure, there's a bunch of NES games for $2. Might as well get hey, that one looks cool. Gargoyle's Quest 2, $2. Yeah, I remember that game.
Gargoyle's Quest was really good, actually. I remember loving that on the Game Boy. It was a great game. So
at that time, my plan was to actually go after a complete U.S. Game Boy library. And I, after 12 years, I probably kind of stopped, but I came, I think, just about maybe 15 games shy. But then that just kind of launched off into all the other consoles. But I've always been a big handheld gamer. Even back in the day, I was much more interested in the Game Boy, Game Gear, any of those portable games that I can actually play without needing to share the TV with my parents. Play in the car. Yeah. What's up, Dr. Game Love?
What's up, Dr. Game Love? Good to see you, man. So I'm going to push something up on here just to kind of show you guys kind of where, because this is kind of where we came from. This is the earliest example of an electronic game that I could think of. And it's one that's really memorable because it showed up in Tron.
Mm-hmm.
I was always messing with this thing while he was programming a Tron. Right? And that's the earliest one I can really think of. Can you guys think of one that was a little bit earlier than that?
Well,
what year was that?
I don't even remember. This has got to be 1980, 1982?
Yeah, I was... might have been before that.
Yeah, because it's just a red dot on the field with other red dots. I mean, it doesn't even have... It's not even like the Tiger Direct where it has all the images in post and everything like that. It's not even a Game & Watch.
It's not. Those were... And there was... 1977. Mattel made it.
Is that Microvision?
No, Mattel. I'm going to show you something.
Mattel made that.
Yes, I'm going to show you what So I'm going to put in the chat. So what you're looking at's a remake. Here's the original.
Okay.
1977. I had this and I had a baseball game.
This looks more correct.
Yeah. I also had a baseball
from what he was playing.
Yep. I also had a baseball game that was like that. That actually was 2-player. I'm going to see if I can find it.
How in the heck would you get 2-player in one of these?
So,
could you connect them through a cable or dock them together?
No. So let me see if I can find a picture of it. And I'll show you. It was really cool how it worked. It actually had on the back a pull-out controller. So it looked somewhat like... I don't think it was this one. I'm trying to find the version that I had. So I'm gonna put another link in the chat for one that
Games is in here now too. I'm trying to make sure to say hi to everybody as we get kind of start ramping up because everybody's kind of filtering in now, which is pretty awesome actually.
Comics, games, and movie. Amazing Power. All right, so I'm trying to get the.
Mason's in there. There's Mason. Oh, yeah. I totally did not see Mason slip in. He's sneaky.
All right, let's see if this works.
Sexy.
That's what my wife calls me.
He does. He always does. Okay, so let's bring this one up over here.
Now, I
vaguely remember this. Oh, wow, you all just kind of played on each one of... That had to be crowded.
Well, so again, that was more of... I'm trying to find the one that I had. What I had was an earlier version of this. Like I said, it had a controller that popped out of the back, and that controller on the back was the pitching.
I can see that.
Oh, wait a minute! I found it. Oh, I found it. Son of a gun! Here we go. All right, take a look at this one. Stroke away, Panda. Stroke away, Panda. Stroke away.
We take all compliments and positive feedback.
That's right. All right, show this one that I just put in the chat, because this is the one that I had.
Okay,
it was so easy to play with.
I never even saw this one. I saw some of these others. I never saw this one.
Now,
guys, I'll be right back. I think I have a prop. So you guys continue to talk about this. I'll be.
Oh, by all means, and I'll put you. Let me know when you get your prop. I'll put you full screen.
Tell me you have one of these. Oh, if he's got one of these, I'm gonna flip. So while he's looking to see if he's got this, so the button at the bottom, the yellow button at the bottom was bat, basically.
Gotcha.
And it was timed. So the pitcher pitched. When the red dot got to the home plate, you hit bat, and then it would shoot the ball somewhere. And so left, center, right. Well, left, center, and right was an out. Then there was singles, doubles, triples, home runs. And then you see that the part top where it says Intex Electronics? Yeah, you're looking for it. So the part above where it says Intex Electronics, that flipped up, and that was the pitching control. So
he's back. I've got a prop too.
I do not have any of these anymore because, well, I sucked and never kept these.
I don't have any of the old ones. I have a replica of something else.
Oh, and I found. Okay, hold on. This is the Sears version. This is more. Wait a minute. I think. Wait, show me this again.
Oh my god. Oh, what's up, Bearded Gamer? Good to see you, man.
Hey, Bearded Gamer. All right, so this one was more the color scheme that I had.
Okay, did you shoot another? Yeah, you did. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this one was.
Okay, so many links.
So,
okay, batter, steel base, got it. Okay. And I'm assuming it just auto ran and everything, right?
Yes. Because what happened was you'd hit the ball, and it would either say single, double, triple, home run, and then it would just advance the dots.
God, this is old when it's got like a Sears logo on it. They haven't done exclusive stuff like that since.
I know.
In television.
Now, you guys know that these weren't the only ones, right? They made there was a basketball and hockey as well.
Oh no, they made these in football, baseball, basketball, all the major sports, as far as I know.
There was a hockey. There was I think that was it.
Well, I have some.
All right, let's see.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. Here we go.
I don't even know. I don't even remember getting these, but I just know that I had some. Okay, so this is from 1979. This is poker. I was kind of.
Oh my god!
Oh,
I had that. I had the poker. Yeah.
There we go. Trying to get it.
I don't even remember this one. That's awesome.
Yes.
But I did pay $6 for it at Goodwill. We still wrote the.
Oh my goodness!
Keep those prices on there. I was kind of looking around to see if I have batteries. It takes.
Double A's?
4 double A's. All right. But this one is actually, this is what I thought you were talking about, Mike. This is from 1980. This is football, right? Yeah, it's football 3. Yeah. So this is where you could actually have two people play.
Oh, so you could do two people head to head with it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So
That's
what I
kind
was
of
picturing.
Yeah, kind of. So in the picture that I showed of the baseball game, if you want to bring that back up, because I don't know if you were still looking when we saw it. The baseball game had kind of like that, but it came out of the thing. It had a cord that came out. So the top of this flipped up, and that's where the pitching controls were. So it was just like that. Oh, but I never saw that football game. That's awesome.
Yeah, just there was a time when I was going to Goodwill and I would literally buy anything video game related. And I think I tried. I think I actually did try to get this working. And I just wish I just want to know right now if it works. So again, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab some batteries.
Grab some batteries.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, this would be great.
So I have some other things in here, and we'll segue into those in a little bit.
Okay.
But I did bring up some other pictures because that was the earliest one that I found. Now, the next ones that I really remember coming out outside of that, and then we'll segue back to his, were these Game & Watch.
Oh, yeah. The original Game & Watch.
Now, Game & Watch was actually kind of cool. Now, these have started to get popular again. And I don't know if I can zoom in on this or not. There I can.
There you go. Parachute. Yep, where you dropped off the parachute. You had to catch there was that one. I had Mario, and because I had the Mario that flipped up, or I had Donkey Kong that flipped up, and I had the one where you throw down things, you had to bounce them, and you had that kind of things. These were so good.
Yeah, these were some of the best small handhelds that I remember when I was a kid. There were plenty of others, but these were some of the nicest ones, and these were some of Nintendo's earliest foray into digital games as a whole. This was pretty much like their first jump outside of, I want to say, the light gun. And it's not to mean the zapper, I mean actually a light gun that was in arcades and was honestly originally meant to be in shooting galleries. But it sounds like you got it going. Did you get it going?
I did.
That
I can't make any
awesome.
sense of that or anything.
Here we go.
Stuff is happening. Look at that.
I can see a red dot.
Look at the graphics.
Nice.
I think those are
look at those high-res graphics.
Oh, they're coming.
Holy
They're coming.
shit.
Oh, they're coming to get you.
They're coming.
Whoa.
Right.
And that'll kill that thing for another 10 years, probably. Got it.
So he says he beat a kid on the bus with one of those, and the buttons exploded like chiplets. And then Dr. was like, remind me not to piss you off. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, no, I didn't mean to be like that. There we go. So, speaking of those, I actually have one of these, and this is kind of a replica. And it's only really a replica. And I don't have the power onto it right now. But I've been really into these lately. Now, this has like Mario Lost Levels, and it has like a ball and cup, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And these things, I have a huge amount of nostalgia for these because I had a couple of these as a kid. Now, the one I had, I could have swore had a stand on here on the back, so you could kick that out and you could just use it as like a timepiece. But I started looking for one like that online, and I couldn't find it. So I don't really know if that even existed or if that was just me remembering it poorly. Do you guys remember if there was one like that? Matthews disappeared on me again.
I'm trying to remember the Game & Watch I had. There's one other of those old handhelds. So you got me looking, and you got me looking at Pinterest site that had all these old handhelds that I used to play with. And there's one.
I love our chat, by the way.
Yeah, our chat. That's right. That thing had ray tracing. Look at this thing.
That's right.
I had this thing, and for the life of me, I still don't, to this day, I don't know if I ever remember why I had it or what it did. But bring this thing. It's called Pythagoras something or other.
I don't remember that one, but there were a ton of Game & Watches, and I'll be honest, I never even saw half of them. Like, my parents would buy one for me occasionally, but they were like I want to say these things were still $20, even back in like 1980, 1982.
Yeah, they were.
And that's expensive for that time period.
Yep.
I mean, that was like a full-on game price.
So I do have Nick. I kind of wish you'd. We should kind of plan this out a little better beforehand before starting this, because I actually have.
I am totally on board with doing that. This is my bad tonight. I apologize.
Yeah. So actually, I here's another one of my conquests. Sort of. This is Donkey Kong 2. This is Donkey Kong Jr. essentially.
Yep.
Good little shot of the flip top. It's not in the best condition, and it does work. Nintendo did re-release this on the DS in their Game & Watch collection. But yeah, that's the only Game & Watch I have. I think funny story. I found this at a flea market from a video game reseller who should have known better. He had it with the game cartridge cases. I think he thought it was a game cartridge. He didn't look at it a cartridge holder, you know, where you store your Game Boy Advance and your DS games.
He thought it was a DS card holder.
And this was somewhat recently, and this was like an overpriced reseller. $5 for that.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Oh, you
I'll
stole
take this
that.
case. I'll put my Game Boy games in here. It looks great.
So when you turned and walked away, did you walk away fast or did you just
run? Son,
I did
run.
like the slow motion fire behind me.
Just explosions going off.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. $5 sold for sure. I would have bought it too, man. No joke.
Slept like a baby that night too. You should have known better.
Felt bad.
Sir,
I wouldn't have felt bad. He's probably
reseller.
taken you for a ride a couple of times.
Yeah.
Heart's pounding like 100 beats a minute. Yeah. I can totally see that happening. What's up,
in the meantime,
Good to see you,
he wakes up in the middle of the night.
No! So we had stuff like that, and then we had stuff like this. And this is not an original. This is a replica. These have started recently coming back.
Tiger.
Yeah.
In popularity.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit I don't get it.
Are they popular?
They're starting to sell them again. I was seeing them in stores all over the place.
No,
like
I know they have 4 of them in this first series of. And when I heard they were doing this, I was thinking, who do they think are gonna buy these?
I was seeing them kind of run shy on stock. Like there was a stack of them, and then they were kind of gone. And they
I could see people.
I think people are like for nostalgia, man.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter how long you play it after you buy it. I mean, the store already got your money. But
yeah,
my God,
this is the darkest time. It's true. It's true.
Yeah. So, what are the games that there's X-Men, and I believe
Double Dragon.
Isn't Little Mermaid the other one?
Double Dragon. They did Double Dragon.
They did Transformers 1 too.
I mean, the re-release. There's 4 of them. There's 4 games that they at least launched for this re-release of Tiger handhelds that they thought was going to sell like hotcakes.
It's true.
Maybe they did.
It's very true.
Good for them. But what were the games? There was X-Men.
Transformers is
they're all
one.
The same. I guess it doesn't matter what
these all kind of look like newer titles that they put on there. I remember like Simon's Quest, and I think they tried to do Gauntlet. They did Mega Man.
I had Mega Man too.
They had Paperboy. They had
Paperboy was on there. I remember having Castlevania on there, and I had a lot of fun with it as a kid.
If you had a license at all, they made a handheld Tiger game for it.
And these things ran all the way through the 90s.
Yep.
Like they ran almost longer.
Dude, they had like
the Game Boy.
They had
I hate to say it.
They had Street Fighter 2. They had like Castlevania. They had a ton of those games.
They did.
And I had a ton of them myself. I had Double Dragon. I'm pretty sure I had Castlevania and Mega Man 2. I felt like they are garbage games, but I feel like I feel like they are at their best when they're doing like more of a sports game. I think that those kind of the same kind of games that they would try to make for the Game and Watch or the early before they even considered doing anything other than football or baseball. Like I actually have. I think I had this back in the day. So right now I have bowling. And
the chat's awesome tonight. You guys are fantastic.
Dude, they had a Duke. I'm looking at all the Tiger games they put out. They had a Duke Nukem 3D.
Oh, dude, it's substantial, dude. The number of games that they tried to do on Tiger Handheld were insane.
Ninja
and
Gaiden,
none of them really represented the property.
Don't forget they made watches too.
Yes, and I didn't grab a picture of the watch, but they did do watches that were basically the same thing, just on a watch. They'd have 1 or 2 buttons, and that was it. But yeah, I mean, and to think that those came out, like I want to say 1 or 2 years right before the Game Boy hit, and the Game Boy was a huge step forward in handheld gaming at the time.
Oh yeah.
And that was primarily because you had interchangeable carts, you had longer lasting batteries, you had better controls, you had volume, it had a phone jack. The sound was just infinitely better out of the box. But the fact that you could just change games and you could buy games for basically the same price you could buy a Tiger handheld game and they were like 10 times better made it an easy sell. Now this screen, and I know you may hate me for this, Matthews, is terrible.
It's not a great screen.
It is not a good screen.
I always had trouble with that screen.
So it's very blurry. You have to be in really, really good lighting to actually see. And honestly, I loved my Game Boy, but when I was a kid, that was like my most prized possession. And I never took it anywhere. I maybe very carefully packed it to take it to my grandma's house or whatever. But I only played it more or less on my bed with my reading lamp behind me. I was not one to take it out in the car because I didn't want the screen to get all scratched, which always did. It's always sad to see the condition that the kids kept these things in. But yeah, you got to have good lighting.
To backtrack for a second, this is a short list. I don't even think this is a complete list of Tiger handheld electronic games. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They did everything.
Yes, they did.
That's terrifying.
It's just terrible.
It really is. And those things were everywhere, by the way.
They are.
If you didn't get at least one of those for a birthday when you were a kid in like the 80s and 90s,
your parents hated you.
Then people liked you.
They're easy to buy for $5 at the gas station on the way to your nephew's birthday party.
Yes, they were. They were.
You know what's funny is this isn't even the first. The Game Boy's not even the first handheld to use carts.
What's up, Raiden22005? I think this is the first time I've seen you in my chat. Hi, if you've been in here before and I don't remember you. Hi, I'm sorry. Remember me? I have a bad memory. I apologize.
Hold on, let me keep that comment up for a second. Watch this. Hold on. I'm almost there. Hold on, I'm going down the elevator. I can't do that in this chair. I can't do that in this chair.
Shenanigans. Hi, so Dan. Good to see you in chat, man.
So Dan's got it right. So that's what I was alluding to. Was the Microvision was actually the first handheld that took carts.
Well, it didn't really take carts so much as like you literally took off the entire
yes,
plate.
But they had.
It was interchangeable games. That's
I don't want to be like that guy. I don't think I ever saw that.
I had one. I had one, and I remember it because it had a Star Trek game.
Okay, that sounds kind of awesome.
What I liked about that, though, is that whenever you changed out a new game, it had its own controls also. So it was like there was like probably a breakout one that actually had like the little dial, and then you go a different one that just had buttons for.
Yep, they had a pinball, the games, Connect so. 4. Yeah, there was it was.
Sorry, I'm looking for a good image here.
Of the Microvision,
and this is not even. I don't even think this is a good image, but it's a.
Here, I got one.
What the heck is this thing?
Here,
I'm sorry. I'm like fascinated by this thing now. I apologize.
Take a look. Take a look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's one of the pictures I found, but that's a more central picture. That's great. That'll work. So, how did this thing work? Because this looks like you've got to half disassemble it.
No, you pretty much did. The top, that top piece, that whole piece, from the disc to Microvision came off. So what you got was, it was like a faceplate, but the faceplate had the game on it. Okay,
so they were basically working off the idea of like the little sliding cards for like ColecoVision and television. Just they took it to the next level and just made that like a brand new game. And it just plugged into the base unit.
Kinda. I'm looking for a picture of what here we go. Here's a picture of what it looks like with it kind of with one of the things next to it, one of the carts next to it, or one of the
I don't remember the Lynx coming out within like a year of the Game Boy.
Because
the Lynx was color, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I thought it was a little bit later because I thought I remembered seeing it. Well, I guess it was around that time because the Game Gear came out around that time too. Because Sega wanted a piece of that too.
September 1989. So that other picture I just put in the chat shows shows the Microvision.
Okay, so it shows a new faceplate. Okay.
Yeah. So the
Oh, I'm learning stuff today. This is dope.
Yeah, so that goes over top of it, and you see that. So it had a touchpad, and
that broke.
Oh boy,
what did we break?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not the football game.
See, hides the football game.
Like yeah, it was. They made stuff. They made stuff to last back then. But yeah, you pop this on, and as Rob was saying, which he's totally right about, you see how it's got its own control scheme on it. So in the middle, right below the screen was this touchpad, and those overlays were on the
touchpad. Okay,
yeah. And then the overlay on the screen did that, and then at the bottom was a dial that you could use for games that needed a dial.
So technically, that's correct. They did do like swappable games before, but it's not in the more traditional format that we're thinking of when we're talking about like being able to swap cards. You had to carry this big bulky faceplate around. Yeah, but it did do it ahead of time, and it's a really cool idea. I see where they were going with it. Nintendo definitely improved on that for sure when the Game Boy came out, and then Lynx came out, and it was basically going, like 16-bit from what Dr. Gamelove was saying. I didn't think the Lynx never looked 16-bit to me, but then the Intellivision never looked 16-bit to me either, and it was a 16-bit console. So what do I know? I'll be honest, not a lot.
No, it had an 8-bit processor. The Lynx did.
Okay.
It was probably Atari marketing.
What do you mean? It was like last processing?
No,
they like to fudge their details a little bit.
It had a 16-bit CMOS in it. That's what.
Okay, so 79, 10 years before the Game Boy. Yeah, that's actually really impressive for 79. Yeah. I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So the main competitor that I remember to the Game Boy was the Game Gear.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Game Boy. 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 And then the Now, that was the main one that I remember opening and having a good time with.
Loved my Game Gear.
I adored the Game Gear. I thought it was a fantastic system.
I miss my Game Gear.
I honestly thought about getting another one, to be honest with you. This was a great little handheld, but this thing had problems.
Yeah, good luck finding one that works.
Yeah.
Well, the durability's not awesome. They were pretty beat up. And I think they got more beat up because they were more flexible. Whereas the Game Boy was almost impossible to play in broad daylight. You could actually play this outside in the daylight because it had a color screen.
Mm-hmm.
So it came off to me as a little more portable, as long as you were okay with the battery life of about 2.5 to 4 hours, which doesn't sound bad now. But back then, when you're talking about the Game Boy, that ran for like 8 hours of 4 AA batteries.
Actually, the Game Boy would run for, depending on what game you're playing, 15 to 20 hours off of 4 AA's.
And I plan on getting to the Nomad. I love the Nomad.
I did not have a Nomad. I wish I did.
I wanted a Nomad. I never had a Nomad. I wanted one.
I never had one.
But you were saying it would run for about 10?
No, it would run for like 15 to 20.
What game were you playing that you got 15 to 20? Because I thought average was like 8.
For the Game Boy, the original Game Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at probably 15, 20 hours off of 4 AA's.
Oh, okay. Well, the Game Gear would get you like 4.
Yeah, you get maybe
on 6
a fraction
AA.
Yeah.
And you could play it all the time if you had the battery pack, which was insanely heavy and would give you like another couple of hours. And you could put it on a clip and you could attach it to your belt if you didn't want your pants to stay on. Because it was that heavy. Or you could just plug it into a wall, and then you could use it like a little mini console thing that you could just like, which is how I played it most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have that plugged into the side, and then I'd play it off the battery pack. Just had the battery pack plugged into the wall, so I had like unlimited power to play the thing as much as I wanted to. Now, I absolutely loved Sonic on this. Mortal Kombat was a huge favorite of mine.
Yep.
And when I say I love Chicon the Forever Man, I mean this version. Genesis version is evil. This version was more manageable.
Loved my Game Gear, man. I did, and some of the, I mean, remember this console actually had a TV tuner attachment.
Yes, it did. It absolutely did.
So you can watch
it would
TV.
plug right into the car it was, and you could watch TV on it as well. Now, and again, then the Game Boy had a printer where you could take pictures of yourself and you could print it out and you could do different things with it. And then you could also plug it into the NES itself through the card adapter. And then later on, that added color. It was like, I would think one solid color or like a minor color scheme.
Are you talking about the Super Game Boy? The
yes.
Super Game Boy adapter?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that worked. No, it didn't work on the NES. It was the SNES that it was for. That's right. And then they had one for the GameCube too. So they really supported the Game Boy and up line.
Well, Nintendo, they
time.
realized that their handheld market was actually keeping them afloat. The Game Boy Advance that saved their GameCube generation. The DS. Well, actually, the Wii didn't really need a whole lot of help, but Pokemon, their handheld systems got them out of many binds. So Nintendo treated their handheld systems with absolute reverence, which is more than you could say for Sega or Sony.
Yes. Now, Sony did try to jump in this market. They did 2 systems, and neither one of them did very well. And in my mind, the one that I wish I had gotten that I never bought, because I jumped out of handhelds after the Game Boy and skipped the Game Boy Color, and I skipped this. And I hate myself for skipping this. Like, the more I see people playing games on this thing online, the more I'm convinced I shot myself in the foot by not buying the system. This thing had some amazing ports. Technically, I think it was 32-bit.
This was kind of like they call it a portable Super Nintendo, basically, but I think it might have actually had a couple steps above the Super Nintendo in terms of, Mike, you probably knows this better than me. Actually, I don't know if because this is a Nintendo thing, but I think the specs on this were actually better than the Super Nintendo because a lot of those early games
were because they look better on.
They
this.
could do like sprite rotation and I don't know. I remember all the buzzwords when this thing was coming out, and a lot of those early games were showcases of what the Game Boy Advance could do.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to.
I'll go with you on crappy sound, Mazen, because
little scratches.
This thing likely had a very tinny speaker on it.
Yeah, it did have.
Yeah, the N-Gage was great for being ahead of its time. I don't think I found pictures of the N-Gage. That links.
The Taco.
Oh, the N-Gage. I got pictures of that thing. My God, I was by the time the N-Gage came around, I was actually doing NLG as a site. So
nice.
The N-Gage and there was another one that most people don't know about because it was probably the fastest failing handheld ever created. At least the N-Gage stuck around for a few years and had 2 iterations. There was a handheld called the Gizmondo. And
I remember the Gizmondo.
Yeah,
I never owned one, but I remember seeing it.
It just didn't live up to anything. Oh, yeah. The thing about the Game Boy Advance, and I'm trying to look this up while we were talking. The games for the Game Boy Advance are actually starting to creep up in price, and yes, I know this because let me find it. Game Boy game. I need handheld. I was cataloging all of my games that we have, and we just got a bunch of Game Boy Advance games. Jet Grind Radio, which I have a loose copy of.
Jet Grind Radio was on a handheld?
On Game Boy Advance.
Really?
Yep.
How the hell did that work? Because that was like a premier Dreamcast game.
Yeah. My loose copy of it's worth $75. New in box.
God.
Complete in box. Complete in box. It's worth $150.
That's insane.
Yep.
Well, don't discount what it didn't look exactly like the Dreamcast version.
No.
But don't discount what the Game Boy Advance could do because there was a
Game Boy on there.
There was a very, very faithful, surprisingly faithful and capable Super Monkey Ball game on the Game Boy Advance, and it played probably not as well, but it played an awful lot like the GameCube and the PS2
and
versions.
Was it isometric, so you had an overhead screen, or was it more side-scrolling?
No, the Monkey Ball game, I think Jet Grind Radio, I believe, was isometric, but the Monkey Ball game played exactly with the same perspective. You rotated the field. Yeah. It was shockingly good. I was not expecting that when I tried it out.
Don't forget the Game Boy Color too, by the way.
Yeah, that was a different system.
No, it was a different system, and I think I might have a picture of that here.
I actually my most expensive Game Boy Color game is worth $125 loose.
What you got, dude? What is
Wendy,
every which way?
Yep.
Yeah. That was another one of my recent acquisitions. Someone didn't know what they had, and
what'd you pay for it?
$3.
Oh,
when I got it, I was like, oh.
Do you have?
I'm gonna have to start hanging out with I'm gonna start hanging out with real life, man.
But I mean,
actually be able to collect retro games for real one day.
Not only is it valuable, it's actually good. It's way forward, so it's a good game. It basically plays like Metal Storm, doesn't it? You kind of
a little bit.
The central mechanic is you're flipping up and down between the floor and the ceiling. I think.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, and see, I skipped the color too because I thought it was just a color upgrade to the Game Boy, but they had specific games.
No, there were some games
color, didn't they? They were labeled color, right?
Yes. And Wendy Every Which Way, specifically on the cart, on the book, says only in color. Right. So you couldn't go back and play it on the regular Game Boy.
And see, that's really the first major instance I can think of Nintendo doing their half-step improvement. Right? Because they've had a long-standing history of that people don't pay attention to, which I think is what dinged them on the Switch. Right? Which is kind of where all this is kind of heading to, like where we're at now, right? This is all the background for you guys of so everybody realizes just how insanely far all of this has gone. for anybody who doesn't know some of these or is watching this on replay going, what are these guys talking about? But we're
old.
Yeah, we're old. And so we've seen, and honestly, growing up in the era that I grew up in, I really approve of, because I've gotten to see so many things develop so quickly. And I feel like they've kind of, they've not completely slowed down, but we kind of plateaued a little bit, right? Because we had a really fast explosion of growth from like the 80s all the way through right around the time of like, I'd say the iPad, realistically, which technically you could count as a handheld if you really wanted to count it as a handheld. It plays games. It does a million other things, but it also plays games. And, but yeah, we saw stuff like that. There was the Nomad, which I don't have pictures of right now, which basically took full-size Genesis carts, which I was always jealous of people who had them. There was also this bad boy, which
that one.
Which I never really understood when I was growing up. But
the Turbo Express. By the way,
Turbo Express played full-on TurboGrafx games.
Yup.
And it also had a TV tuner, I believe.
Yes, it did. I do believe it did. And this thing always looked amazing. Now, this was only ever in Toys R Us that I could recall. I never saw this anywhere else outside of Toys R Us. I think they locked that down as an exclusive. And I knew one guy that had this. And this thing was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this like $300 like the Turbo Express was?
It was expensive. I don't remember
exactly. Because the Turbo
exactly.
Express was insane for a handheld. Because an average Game Boy handheld would cost you $100. Actually, under. I think it was like $90, and it came with Tetris.
Yeah.
The Game Boy Advance, I want to say, was like around $120 when it launched. And then they started kind of jumping in price until you started hitting around here. And these were basically console prices for a handheld. But this basically was a console in handheld form. The Nomad played full-on games.
Yep.
Yeah. When I first started collecting Genesis games again, I didn't have a Sega Genesis, so this is what I actually got. This is the first Genesis console I got. Being a handheld guy, of course, I had two of these actually long before I actually got a full Genesis console.
What, a Nomad?
Yeah.
So you got a Nomad before you got an actual Genesis?
This is as an adult. As a kid, I had the Sega Genesis, but then when I started getting into like the adult with disposable income, now started to collect games. I didn't even bother getting a Sega Genesis. I got the Nomad first, and that's how I played my game. Because you could also hook it up to the TV. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, can you do that? Can you hook the normal controllers into it, or do you have to use the handheld?
There's a second port on there, so you can plug it in. You can plug a second controller in, and you can plug it in the TV, and you could play it just like a regular Genesis.
That's pretty awesome.
It's a pretty cool console.
Yeah, that's actually that's way more awesome than I thought it was when I was growing up and messing with it.
It even worked with the activator and stuff like that. Like you could plug. I don't think it worked with any of the light gun stuff, but you could plug in the Team Play adapter to do 4-player stuff. I wish I had one.
The Game Boy Advance would do that too. You could do like a 4-player link up, and you could hook it up to the GameCube.
I wish
as well.
One thing I wish I had.
Because there were specific games for the GameCube that required you have like 4 Game Boy Advances, and I thought that was the silliest thing when I was a kid because I didn't know 4 people that had a Game Boy Advance. I'll be honest, I didn't know that many people that had them.
One game I can think of that does that is the Pac-Man Versus, I think.
There was like Crystal Chronicles.
Oh, there's also the Four Swords. The Four Swords.
And Four Swords was another one, but that was like a cable link between the individual handhelds. But there were some like actual GameCube games.
No, that's what I mean. Like the ones I could think of off the top of my head.
Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Rayden's got it right there. That was something one I remember. Was that game? Did we mute? No, he just went quiet. I'm like, God, did I mute Matthews? Oh God. Me too.
I'm still trying. I'm really curious to see what the launch price was. It looks like it was
I think that was Four
179.
Swords, Dr. Game Love. That was the 4-player one, and they did that again on the DS or the 3DS. They had another Four Swords come out, but I only really knew like one other person who had it.
Trying to remember how I knew the Turbo Express, since we did talk about that.
I remember seeing them in the store, but I didn't quite get it at the time. But I didn't quite get the Turbo Graphics at the time either, because it was poorly marketed.
Yeah.
It kind of got destroyed. And honestly, I think this was actually the entire reason the Nomad existed in the first place, because Sega had history around this time of countering competing technology and trying to crush early competition, much like Nintendo had done. So when the Game Gear came out, this came out, I want to say a year or two after the Game Gear, and would play full-on TurboGrafx games. So Sega, in their mind of trying to beat them to the punch, kind of like they did with the Turbo Duo, released the Nomad that would play full-on Genesis games, as opposed to letting this thing try to take root. See what I'm saying? At least that's what I suspect. Now, I don't have any documentation on that. I know for a fact they did the Sega CD in a hurry to try to counteract the Turbo Duo before it hit the States, because they did not want it taking off in the United States. That is straight up factual. This is just me doing hyperbole. But it makes sense given their track record around that time.
I honestly think that they're just trying, and that's probably part of it too. But I think Sega was just desperate to get any kind of additional life out of the Sega Genesis that they could.
Yeah, you're probably right there too.
Yeah. Maybe.
Sega was a little desperate in those last.
Oh yeah, when they well,
that's a whole other topic that I want to cover. Is like Sega, rise and fall, folly, kind of thing. Because we could easily talk for 2 hours on that.
Yeah, and I'm not.
And we got to start. And we need to start getting together on the weekend and organizing these better. Because I'm all over the place.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get depressed tonight either.
No, I'm not either. But they had, when they were on, man, they were on, and when they were off, they were way, way off. And everybody knew it. So Nintendo kind of kept going from strength to strength on a lot of this stuff. You had the DS, you had the 3DS, but you also had the Vita come into play.
The PSP.
We'll just pull the PSP. So we'll pull up a couple pictures of these, because this is the original DS. This big clamshell
DS fat.
thing. I did not like this thing when it came out.
I didn't like it either.
Like this design at all.
Well,
I did not pick up into this thing until right around here.
It was sort of kind of modeled around the SP.
Yeah, it kind of was, but it was so bulky.
The SP, it was really funny because the SP had that really nice flip up part. And I thought that when they did this, I know why they did this, and you're right, it contributed to it being bulky. But I thought the DS was well done.
The DS itself is probably one of my favorite handheld systems of all time.
Wow.
One of the most creative ones,
honestly, trumped probably only by the 3DS, just because the 3DS plays all the DS games. But I did not like the original, the design of the original DS Fat, what they call it, didn't appeal to me at all. I didn't get into the DS until the Lite came out, and once that came out, I played it, and it was a fantastic system. I believe the DS Fat, the original DS design, I don't think that was what they meant to actually put out on the market. I think they just kind of ran out of time, so they kind of put one of the prototypes out, because it's not a very good design at all. So I think
this works so much better for the ideas that they had, because you could hold this thing like a book. and you would have 2 side-by-side screens and use it that way. And there were times in certain games, like there was a Mario and Luigi RPG game where you play as like Bowser, and Bowser would go big, and you'd have to turn it on its side because Bowser was so tall to give you that perspective so that you could battle things on the other side. And it was kind of a really cool idea.
And also the Ninja, there was a Ninja Gaiden game on the DS that you also held it in.
I've still got that. Yeah, it was Dragon really Sword or something like that.
And there was a lot of the DS just had an amazing just totally eclectic. Any kind of genre you could possibly think of, and genres you couldn't think of were on the DS. It was just an amazing library. But there was it was a really good playground for I don't even know what to call them. The I guess narrative games where you're basically just tapping the buttons to make the story go. And there was a game called Hotel Dusk, and the animation.
My wife loved that game.
It was so good, and it was the animation was like the AHA video. What was their video that they had with the cartoon outlines of the people?
That was Take on Me.
Take on Me. Thank you. So the art style in this game was like that, and I guess my point is that that was another game where you actually held it in book mode. But there's just a ton of games like that on the DS. Tons of excellent RPGs, if that was your thing. Tons of excellent action games. It was just for whatever reason, the DS actually got developers excited to make games, and it showed. I think so.
Yeah, people really got on board with it, and it was very creative, and it really kind of put a damper on systems like this pretty quickly, because while this was graphically superior, its buttons were worse. This D-pad was the worst, and I say that ignoring the fact that it's a PlayStation D-pad, which I already hate. This D-pad was literally junk. I had to open mine up and fix it multiple times so that it would actually respond, because there were times where it would just break down.
Thankfully, I never had to do that with mine.
I had to do it with like 2 or 3 of them.
Knock on wood.
I had to do it 2 or 3 times. I even bought kits for it. Those only worked for a period of time. Now, I love this system. This had some great games on it. I adored it. Lumines was on this. There was Mutant Blobs Attacks, I think, was on this. I think it was this one, or it might have been the Vita. I can't remember.
I've got a really good PSP collection that's still sitting on my shelf that I need to. I could probably if I really wanted another one, about $80 I could get a PSP right now. Yeah. And I'm real close to pulling that trigger, because man, it was
the PSP was a beautiful system. It
was gorgeous. The back touch screen was great. All the buttons were really responsive. It was just the D-pad. Even that little analog stick I liked.
The analog stick was great.
I didn't really have much of a problem with their little nub. I feel like the PSP. It's kind. I kind of see the PSP as like that really good kid that just has shitty parents, and you just know you're going to grow up to be just on the street, aren't you? Because the PSP, if it had Sony did not know what to do with these handheld systems. And
they didn't.
The life that the PSP had, and the life that PS Vita, more specifically, just continues to grow, is because the people the fans are keeping these systems alive, not Sony. Sony dropped those as soon as they could, it seemed like. And I think Sony just did not know how to actually make a handheld system work. And Nintendo and their developers got it really good. Obviously, they had 20 years of experience for it. The PSP, I think its biggest flaw was that they tried to make it a portable console. They tried to take the experience that you get on the console and then put it on a handheld system.
And that's exactly what they were trying to do.
And I don't think that works. The best games are generally ones that are actually built to be portable games, with that in mind. And I think that the PSP and the PS Vita are just sadly cases of a system that its reach exceeded its grasp.
And they tried to double down on that concept with this.
Mm-hmm.
They really wanted to make it more handheld. They knew those pop-out keyboards were popular at the time. So they doubled down by doing the slide-out thing. Now, I never owned this model because mine still worked.
No.
Now, this thing seemed kind of cool, but I just, for some reason, I was never sold on it.
Because it was digital only.
Right.
Was it?
In PSP Go?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I think that I partially agree with what you said, Rob, about, what the PSP needed to do. Like, there are definitely games that were on the PSP that should not have been there. Like, God bless them. It's over there. I should have grabbed it when I was over there. SOCOM. They tried to do a version of SOCOM, which you can't do with one analog stick. You can't. That goes back to the old days of trying to use your face buttons to look and your other button to move. However, is that a train?
Yeah, your keyboard is
that's me
awesome.
typing.
Oh,
it's my mechanical keyboard. I love this thing.
So what really worked well on the PSP were racing games. So Wipeout Pure. One of my favorites is still Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast.
I think I had the Wipeout one. I didn't have the Outrun one. I never got into the Outrun series for some reason.
Ridge Racer.
Never got into Ridge Racer either.
They were crazy good games. And remember too that the PSP had Wi-Fi on it. So you could play multiplayer.
I believe I did actually with Battlefront, I think.
Yeah, what set these apart. So for those who have never seen a PSP game before, I know you guys have, but for those in the chat who have never seen, it was actually.
I'm going to put you solo so they can see that.
Okay, so this was not a cartridge.
No, it's a disc.
It's a disc. It's a universal media disc. And
those things were cool looking, but if those cases broke, you were boned.
Yeah, you could.
And they did break. The seal on the glue would come apart, so you have to be careful if you're collecting these things.
Like I said, I've got a great collection of PSP games that are just waiting for a PSP to come back into my possession. Because the games looked really good. They actually, I would almost put these at PS2 quality games. I would also, in some cases, even more. Here's the back of Wipeout. I wish I had.
They had an amazing Uncharted game on that thing too, by the way. You can go ahead and put that up again if you want. I got you on full screen so they can see it better.
There you go.
Oh, here. So Wipeout Pure. The graphics. The game looks crazy. It's so good.
Yeah, they had the graphical detail on this was phenomenal.
I would say that the second God of War game they had on the PSP was.
I never picked that up. I probably should have, but I never picked it up.
Pretty close to not obviously PS3 quality, but pretty close. I think it looked better than the PS2 games. You know what? See how much I have had.
I've not had that happen.
Replace 2 or 3 batteries. They just blow up, and I don't know. It doesn't take long for them to do it. It seems like.
Oh, Uncharted was on the Vita. That's right. And I was going to go to the Vita because they tried one more time, and they went to the Vita. And the Vita was a huge step up on the system, quite frankly.
I never got the Vita.
The Vita was like the next logical step for what they were trying to do. The D-pad was completely fixed. They had dual analogs, so you could do things like Killzone, and I think they even had a Killzone game on this. All the buttons were basically the same. The sound was better. You had a touch screen on the back of this thing. Which was big on Uncharted because you could rotate things around with it, stuff like that, and really interact with the system in a whole new way. So it was much, much closer to competing with the likes of something like Nintendo that was going more towards the 3DS, I think, around this time, if they didn't already have it. Resistance on the Vita was absolutely cool. I remember having and playing that and enjoying the hell out of it. But yeah, this was kind of the culmination of where they went, and they went to more carts rather than sticking with the UMD format. Now, this was not backwards. I don't think this was ever backwards compatible. You had to keep your PSP to play your UMDs because they went to their own little memory cards for this thing. because Sony always went from proprietary to proprietary around this time, which was hugely frustrating to an extent because it was always more expensive. Always more expensive than the alternatives. And then after that, it was pretty much straight up Nintendo. That was the last four I remember of anybody else coming out with. And everybody, including myself, expected Microsoft to throw their hat in the ring too.
I kind of figured they would too.
And they never did.
I never thought they would. I there wasn't a reason for them to. They didn't have. See, the thing is, Sony and Nintendo have as much as I love Xbox and my Xboxes and stuff like that, they didn't have a stable of first party games they could put on a handheld. Right. They really didn't. And then yeah, they'll get all the third party stuff, but they wanted their best shot was what they're doing now. And I think that's kind of where they've wanted to go for ages now anyway, is to figure out how to get mobile gaming without getting mobile gaming. And so I never no matter what the rumors ever were, I never saw Microsoft bringing out a handheld. It just wasn't in their DNA.
See, I still think they could have worked it with the right indie support and stuff like that, and that segues into a couple other things. But I want to hit a few other things first before we get there because we got a little bit of time here, like the Evercade, which is your retro throwback. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is another thing that's kind of become a growing handheld market to bring a lot of these games back to the forefront because it's basically emulation off card in a nice handheld format. That's actually kind of a cool idea.
Yep.
And then, I'm sorry, before I go too far, you were going to say something, Matthews. My bad.
Yeah, I was going to another slighted Sony. Sony will do whatever Nintendo does. So I think they tried that a couple times and they've realized, okay, we're not as good at the handhelds as Nintendo is, so we'll leave that alone. We're keeping the touchscreens though. I don't know. Does the PS5 have a touchscreen on the controller?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it does.
You mean a touchpad?
Yeah, touchpad. They kept it.
Yeah, I didn't mean screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
They absolutely kept that. And honestly, I never know what to think of that thing because they kind of force you to use it in some games and it works. Most of the time, it's ignorable.
It's waggle control is what it is.
Yeah. Well, in motion controls, I've found a use for, particularly in console games, because for fine aiming, like as much as I don't really care for Breath of the Wild, and I know that's sacrilege in Nintendo realms, being able to fine tune your aim with a bow by angling the controller a little bit is a godsend. It's absolutely amazing in Splatoon if you get to like higher echelons of, knowledge in Splatoon. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that kind of brings us into where handheld gaming kind of started going after it went to tablets, because Nintendo went from all their handhelds to doing the Wii, and then they did the Wii U, and they combined all the good aspects of those into a hybrid console handheld system.
Yeah, they did.
And
handheld with a dock.
Yep, handheld with a dock. And this thing actually works really, really well for what it is. Sometimes I feel like it tries to do a little too much because I don't always care for motion controls. I'm happy the only one that didn't care for Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. There wasn't enough to do, and that was my big problem with it. And there weren't enough. There weren't enough dungeons for me and enough items for me to get as rewards from dungeons. Everything felt too disposable. Yeah, and I'm not big on Joy-Cons either. I always avoid using the Joy-Cons. They're there for people who like them. I don't know anybody who likes them. So we've gone to this, which kind of segues into things kind of going a little bit more retro again. Let me see if I can find... Where did I put that?
Hello.
That didn't need to be up there.
Whoa,
yes, it did.
Didn't.
My wife's not watching the show. You can put that back up.
I'm gonna have to edit that out later, I think. To things like Playdate.
Blur her face. What?
Her face up.
So we've got things like the Playdate that came out.
Uh-huh.
Or
it's
what
on
is this?
pre-order.
This is on pre-order. This is a small little handheld system. It
For
had a tiny
$180.
It had a tiny little crank and comes with like 12 different games.
So
that get loaded over time. It's a black and white screen.
I need to ask about this for a second, because if I may have totally misjudged the crank on this. Was the crank originally also there to charge the battery inside of it?
I don't think so. That's not my understanding.
All right.
I'm gonna have to make a note of that so I can look that up later on.
You don't like Breath of the Wild.
This is the first time I've
and you
heard
like
of
the
this.
Amico. I'm on the haters hit list. That's fair. This is kind of an interesting idea, and it's kind of a throwback to the old style of play with simplistic buttons and things like that. And it has a couple of goofy things. It's very hipster. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
You kind of move forward and move back using the crank. A lot of the games use that. That's its more unique mechanic. And it also has these games that are going to come out on it. And then it has a little dock thing that acts as a speaker. And it has like a pin holder for some dumb reason. I don't really know why. And then they sell a cover for it. So it's kind of a quirky, weird little system. But they have a development kit where you can make your own games on it. And I think that's where a lot of people have started kind of leaning into this, because you can start to develop your own games for it.
See, that's not like a playful price, though.
It is not a playful, fun price. It is not at all.
No.
I think that's way too much for what that thing is. It looks neat. I would like to be able to play it, but $180.
The other thing that I'm concerned about with this handheld, and I've never had a chance to actually talk about this thing. Am I the only one who is concerned about the seasons that this thing has? So scroll back up. Not scroll. Where is it?
Hold on. Let me put this back up here. Yeah, it has seasons, and each season gets you a number of games.
Right.
But you don't pick the games. They just give you the games that they give you right now.
Yeah.
So you
don't buy them individually.
You don't actually own any games.
Well, you do. Once you got them, you own them.
But do you have to pay for the whole season?
I think you pay for the season.
And then, because it says some are short, some are long. Will you love them all? Probably not. Will you have a great time trying them? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And that's how they're selling this thing.
Now,
a lot of people have gone gaga over this. I know several people that have bought one of these.
All right, so hold on, because I need to, now that I'm saying this out loud. Hey, Saggy.
What's up, Saggy?
Hold it. Sit. Oh, okay. Now that hold on, do that. Put her comment back up.
Boop.
Saggy.
What happens if you miss a season? Do you miss those games forever? I don't know yet.
I have no idea.
I don't know if you can go back and retroactive pick up seasons that you missed or not.
So,
and I also don't know what the storage space is on each one of these games and how big the storage space is on the handheld. So it may be that you can't always keep all the games on the handheld. I don't know. And how do you extend the storage space? How do you download them? Are they going to keep servers up to where you can download them back and forth if you want to?
Yeah.
Can you offload them somewhere? I don't know.
Like I want to make sure I want to make sure I disclose that I am a big fan of
Saggy, you talked to me before on Nick's Discord.
I am a proponent of Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass. So I want to make sure I explain that I feel like this is a different thing, because the questions you were just asking, Rob, are exactly the right questions to ask about this. Game Pass has 200 games on it. Yeah, you can pick and choose what you want, but yes, a couple of them cycle in and out, but for the most part, they're all kind of the same. What happens in season 2? Do these
they get off the island?
Right.
That feels legit. I feel like that's legit.
And I would also submit that I mean, just looking at the games, I mean, Executive Golf DX, Hype, Questy Chess.
Most of these are meant to use that. They're built around that being the unique. Not all of them use it. They even state that. But I think as medium as they can get using that little crank mechanism is what they want.
Let me watch this. I love it. He got suplexed for. This is what happens. This is 2021, where now you get suplexed for saying hi to somebody. But with the crank, you could back it up and see it in slow motion again.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike, are you going to get that?
Not a chance.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I'm sold on it. I'm curious about it because it's quirky and it's unique. How much I would play it, though, I don't know. So is it worth $200 to experiment with it? I don't know.
Yeah, I would get an Evercade before I got this.
Yeah, and I've got an Evercade Versus that I'm going to pick up to kind of dive into the Evercade realm. And I'm even a little leery on the Evercade because most of those things you can emulate pretty easily. Now, is that legal? No. Is it cheaper? Far cheaper? Yes. And you don't get to pick the games that you get on the cart. There's just a selection of games on the cart, and it is what it is. You may like them, you may not like all of them. You may only find one you like, and it may only be possible. You never know. And a lot of the games are kind of unknown to me on those carts anyway. So it's kind of a crapshoot, right? Of what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us into the next handheld that everybody seems to think is going to utterly and thoroughly destroy Nintendo somehow.
The Amico. Oh, no.
The Steam Deck.
Now,
well,
it looks like a Switch.
And I don't... It's bigger than a Switch. It's about half again the size. It's wider and it's thicker than a Switch. It also has about double or more of the power.
Does it dock?
Yes. There's a dock that is still to it. The dock doesn't necessarily up the power, but the HDMI will immediately try to meet whatever the native resolution is of your current screen. So you can put it in this small little docking mechanism and you can throw it up on a monitor or TV.
So this is bigger than the Switch? So we're talking like Atari Lynx size.
That's a good question.
Hold on, let me see if I can find some pictures of it.
That's a very good question.
So when
hold on one second.
It's just a weird direction we're going here, where our handheld systems are now getting bigger and bigger. Seems like we're coming full circle again to the gigantic. Because the Atari Lynx was bigger than it needed to be, just because they thought that people wanted big handheld systems. So,
I think
are
you meant just to hold this in your hand on the couch?
Yes, and that's one of the images they originally showed was somebody playing.
Not at the park. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's the Switch on the top, sitting on top.
I can see that
of the Steam Deck.
Here's a better link for
That's interesting. I've never had my describe my voice that way. Bringing you the smooth sounds of Nintendo Switch versus Steam Deck. Yeah.
Steam Deck.
It made it weird.
All right, so
Spanish for friend. I love it. I kind of want that to be a thing now. So yeah, that's the size comparison. And you got to think it's going to have about the same battery life as the Switch. But
it plays your Steam games.
But it plays your Steam games. I do not know if they are going to allow this thing, as of yet, to work with Nintendo's platform. I don't know if Nintendo's platform is going to allow them to let you install Game Pass on this thing, because you got to remember it's got a Linux operating system.
Oh, you're talking about Microsoft.
Yes, Game Pass. Install the Xbox Game Pass app.
Yes, you can, because you can sideload. You can sideload.
You can sideload Windows, but it also runs Proton, which emulates Windows.
Yes, so you could do it there, and you watch. Microsoft is going to end up with an xCloud Steam app. It's going to happen.
And honestly, that's a good move for them, because I don't see, even if they just leave it on Linux, I could kind of see Microsoft making a client that would work on Linux.
Yeah,
not only because it would reach Linux. Screw it, why not? Because they want Game Pass everywhere, so you might as well make it work on Linux.
And this would be a perfect place to do it, because
this is a jumping point for them to hit Linux.
Yep. So I think that's coming, and I think that I think the other piece to this too is, Microsoft plays nice with Steam, and Steam would love to have. I think Steam would love to have Microsoft join them rather than them go over to Epic and talk to Epic about an Epic Games Steam app. Or
I think Epic already loads on Linux anyway, so I think that's a given. I'm betting you could load it on there, so it'll be able to run any of those things. But here's some of the differences, right? And here's some of the critiques that I've had on this. This is not the only time this has been done.
Very true.
There's something called a Steam Boy that has already existed. I will see if I can find pictures of that as well. I had some downloaded because I was working on an article on this. Yeah,
they tried these Steam boxes and stuff before.
And they've tried the Steam machine still exists, oddly. I found that out the other day. Alienware still makes one. So anybody who was saying, oh, well, because I know I was having this conversation with Relic. And he's like, oh, well, the specs on that are dated. Well, the specs are only as dated as the hardware itself.
Here you go. A picture of the Steam Boy.
Did you find it? Okay, you found a good picture of it, because I just found some myself. Yeah, I was looking for a bigger picture here. Hang on.
Hang on.
I found one. Okay, I think I got it. Well, I got an article here. That'll probably work. Here we go. Go back to here and do. So that is the Steam Boy. I don't know if it's going to let me zoom in on that or show the picture.
Here, I got a 1200 by 630.
Do you? Okay, cool. That's what
there you go.
There we go. That's better. God, that is not zooming in well at all. Why is that not showing well? Okay. So it looks a little janky on here. I may pull those down and see if I can find another picture.
Try this one.
I had some. Hold on, I've got some pictures of this thing.
Okay.
Because I was working on an article on this thing.
There's a 1600 by 1141 picture. Try that one.
Okay. This one does. Okay, that looks better. So this is basically the first iteration of this handheld. This used Valve's little touchpad things that they had back in the day. And had all the buttons down on the bottom and had triggers up on the top. And it ran Steam. Just like the Steam box. Now, this thing retailed for, I want to say, a little over $300 and came out right around the same time the Switch came out, which is why you never really heard of it. Because the Switch pretty much did what this did, only better. At the time. Now, the Steam Deck is a slightly different beast, and the reason I think that is because people have adapted to the idea, partially because of Nintendo and partially because of tablets, of wanting to have more of their gaming on the go. It's kind of gotten more popular than it's actually been in a long time, if ever, because people are more mobile now. People don't want to have things hooked up to their TV quite as much anymore.
Right.
And so they're moving away from that form factor and for something that's flexible enough that when they want to do it, they can do it. When they don't want to, they don't have to, right? And they can just take it on the go.
Mm-hmm.
Those nipple tweaking controls. Steam boy, stand back or I'll fuck up your glasses. So yeah, and that's really what this is. This is the latest iteration of them trying to get into your living room. Steam has been trying to do that forever because they see that the PC market, particularly the gaming rig PC market, is starting to wane and has been for a while. As much as I love my PC gaming, it's much simpler to plug in a console. Most people are more familiar with a console. Most people don't want to build a high-end rig. Most people don't want to maintain a high-end rig. They want to just boot up a game and play it. And so they don't want to fool with all this other extra nonsense.
Dick around with a computer.
Right.
I do that all day. I don't need to.
And deal with drivers and deal with this and crashes. And
I don't want to build my and then sit at my desk and play video games.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I do that all the time, but I have a nice chair. I'm comfortable in here. This is where I like to do a lot of my gaming. So I've gotten almost more PC-centric over the last couple of years because if things are going to be mostly cross-platform anyway, I'd rather just play with a mouse and keyboard on most shooters. And I can plug in a handheld controller and use a controller for anything else that I want to because controllers 9 times out of 10 just work straight out the box with Windows at this juncture. That wasn't always the case, which is why PC gaming was always kind of niche back in the day and kind of hit mainstream for a while. But now, with everybody kind of moving away from it again, Steam is looking for more and more avenues to get in. And this is not a bad thing. The Steam Deck is actually a pretty good device, so long as you use it for what it's intended for.
As opposed to porn? What does that mean?
Well, no, you could use it for porn. I mean, it's got a browser. I mean...
Yeah.
It's got internet.
And the internet is for porn.
Internet is for porn.
Porn and cat pictures. That's what
right.
else you got.
That's right. Yeah. That's all you need. Why do you need anything else?
That's what Al Gore visualized when he invented the internet.
That's right.
So DJC.
That's a good Jack.
That's a fantastic. Put his.
I love that picture.
Put that.
I love that picture.
That's
a jaw-dropping avatar right there.
It is a jaw-dropping avatar. Someone say porn? We could see Valve make an official Steam box console instead of like before where other companies made them slap the name on the Steam box. And that was the other problem with the Steam machine is they did not market and sell that thing themselves. They outsourced it and let other people take the base specs that they had set up and say, okay, here's what you should build. So it was still showing up on PC sites as a PC. So people confused it with a PC. That's really what I feel like happened. Kind of like the Wii U got confused with the Wii because so many people just looked at it and went, well, it's a tablet extension for my Wii. Yeah. Why do I want that? People looked at this and went, okay, so it's just another PC that looks a little bit like a console. And so they never bought it. Nobody wanted it. And still nobody wants it, even though it's still for sale.
Right.
Nobody wants a Steam machine. Even though it'll basically do like 80% or more. Hell, I might play some of this better than what the Steam Deck is going to do. It just won't have that portability. And it seems like this thing hit at the right time because people wanted a Switch Pro. And then they got another half step from Nintendo, which is what I expected, of the OLED. I knew they weren't going to give you a Pro. I just knew. It wasn't going to happen.
No.
They weren't going to do it. People kept talking about it, and they built it up so much that the Steam Deck took off before it ever even got announced because it's what people decided Nintendo was going to give them. And when they didn't, like, Valve saw it and went, perfect. We're going to announce now because we've been working on this for a while. Geeks of Cash, where you can find technology, games, and porn.
Hey, it's a trifecta of...
You know, I'm here to entertain.
And titillate.
That's right.
Literally.
Where's Rez's comment? Because Red had a comment about nipple controllers or something like that. I need to put that up on the screen now.
Oh my goodness.
But I think the thing's going to be good. I do not think it's going to kill the Switch because, in my mind, the people that really want this thing and think this thing is like 10 tons better than the Switch are the people who didn't really buy the Switch for the Switch.
Yeah, I was going to say the market they're going after.
Yeah, it's not the Switch market.
Yeah,
it's not.
They're not. And that's what. Cash after dark. Cinemax presents. I've wondered why people, not us, but why people were talking about this in the same breath as the Switch. Other than the fact that they're both handheld items, they don't compete with each other. They really don't. There are two different handhelds for two different demographics. You're not going to get the next Zelda, the next Metroid, the next whatever on Steam Deck, and you're not going to get 90% of the games on Steam that don't come to the Switch. You're not going to get those on the Switch. So you're looking at two different, like Johnny's soccer mom's mom, Johnny's mom's soccer mom is not going to go out to the store and buy a Steam Deck for the kid that wants a Switch.
Well, I don't think the Steam Deck is really going to be in stores for a while because, like all these other new consoles, you're going to have to buy it online for a long time. I don't know if you'll ever actually see one in the store. I think it's going to be like an online purchase.
You may not, but my point is that Johnny's not asking for this for a gift for the holidays. If he wants a Switch, he's not going to go, oh, but mommy, I want the Steam Deck instead. No, he's not doing that. So this is and if you go back to the pricing, this is not priced. This thing is priced way out of that lane.
It's got a couple of prices that are not that bad. Let me
at $399, $529, $649.
Yes. And the $349 is not the one that I'd want. The one I'd want would be the middle of the road, which is the $549 because it's got 256. I know a couple people that bought the 64 and they're like, well, I'll just slap an SSD to the back of that thing. Well, the back of that thing is going to be nuclear. I'm going to tell you that right now. If it's like a gaming laptop, and it basically is a gaming laptop in a handheld format, that thing is going to be like blistering hot towards the center.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to want to put anything there. Like you're going to melt tape. You're going to ruin storage space because of heat, long exposure to heat. You're also going to draw more power using the USB-C ports that way, which means you're going to have shorter playtime in handheld mode. So you're going to go from 4 hours to more likely like 2 hours. And you're going to be lucky to get more than 2 hours on something like, say, Doom Eternal would be my guess, depending on how you have the settings put. Like, if you really want a premium, nice-looking experience that it can push, I'd say maybe 2 hours. Maybe. At most. And then you're going to have to, like, plug it in. Because it's going to be toast. And most people that I know that are going to want to play... But I don't want to play things like that on it. I did put $5 down to be able to get one, but I tend to put things like, say, Mortal Kombat 11, Guilty Gear Strive, things like that new Mayhem Brawler game that came out, Streets of Rage 4, Castle Crashers, stuff like that. Some indie games. More stuff that I could bring in a second player or even third player in and have some fun moving part of my library to my TV or take it to a friend's house. And that's where I see it being a good extension of what I already own. But it would be leery of calling it its own console because it seems more like an extension of my PC. To me. What do you guys think? I feel like I've been talking a lot on this and nobody else has said anything.
We have, but I mean, this is not a... It's funny. This is not a handheld for me.
No, it's
kind of funny you guys say that because it's marketed specifically as a handheld.
It is, but I don't care about Steam.
Yeah, whenever I hear something's on Steam, I'm like, oh, is it on anything else?
Right.
Can I download it for the Switch or the PlayStation 4? Let me go look right now.
Right. Is it in Game Pass? Can I play it on xCloud? I mean, I don't need another. This is not for me. You know, I'm happy with what I have. And you know, it was funny because I'm in the Windows Insider program. So I have the Xbox app update for my Surface Pro. When I went to Tennessee, I took my Surface with me and I took an Xbox controller, and that's how I finished playing Last Stop. That's how I started playing 12. No, I didn't start playing 12 minutes till I got back, but that's how I started playing games while I was out, because I didn't want to do xCloud on here, and I always said, hey, as soon as it's available for for Windows, the browser sucked. The browser version sucked, but the built-in Xbox piece on my Surface was golden. So I found my way to, as long as I got good internet. Now that's the key. Steam's kind of the same way. You have to download the games from somewhere, so you have to have some good internet to grab the games. As long as I've got that, I'm not terribly concerned about sitting on the couch playing Steam games. It's just not. I don't know. It's just not my thing.
See, I am a big fan of Steam, but then I've been big into PC gaming for a while. So for me, I can see using it, but I see using it differently than the way I hear a lot of people talking about it. Like when you talk to Relic or you talk to Cyrus, they're talking about how to hook up keyboards to it, how to hook up SSDs to it, how to hook up this, how to hook up that. And they're talking about ways to attach things to it. And I feel like that's asking it to do more than it really needs to do. If you wanted something that did that, you'd probably be better off getting, say, a laptop, right? And doing that as opposed to strapping a keyboard and extra SSD and all this other stuff to that. Because even a laptop, by the time you attach like a keyboard, a mouse, an external SSD, a camera, and all this other stuff, sure, you can disconnect it and you can take it somewhere, but I mean, are you really going to do that and unplug all that crap?
That's true.
Probably not, right? Unless you've got a docking station, and docking station's generally not quite as advantageous for the most part. I mean, it does some of the stuff, but it's not like that amazing. But also, the other thing you have to keep in mind when you're messing with stuff in the Steam Deck is they have to certify and make sure the games run right and adjust to that resolution, right? So, and they're trying to send these out to developers so they can test it, so that they can get their games set up to well they'll run on there. But that's no guarantee that your particular developer is going to do that. I'm sure most of the major ones will, but not all of them. So if you're big on like $2 and $3 games on Steam, your mileage may not go as far.
Yeah.
Steam Deck. It may look janky. You don't know yet. Right?
More or less.
So it's kind of hard to say where this thing's going to go. But I just, in my mind, it's a good competitor, and maybe it'll push Nintendo into trying to get another console out a little sooner than like another 4 or 5 years, which I think was their current estimate, unless I'm wrong.
But still, that goes to my point of them not being a. I don't think Nintendo even is paying attention to this. Honestly, I don't. They've got their thing, they've got their trajectory, they've got their games coming. I don't think they even care about this.
Yeah, I don't think they care either.
Yeah, I don't know if they do either. And I'm curious, like Panda said, I wonder how it's going to do. It'll have a good first year because they've already pre-sold like a ton of these, right?
Oh yeah, they're going to, because there's a loyal Steam following. Those folks are going to sell this thing out.
Yeah, but you've got a lot of people that have bought it too that aren't even into Steam. Like you've got Relic and Retro Bro and all of them that have bought into this that are not really what I call avid Steam users. They're more casual Steam users.
I agree, but they're Steam users nonetheless.
Right.
I don't think that this is something that is going to be a mainstream thing. I don't see it. I don't see, especially at those prices. I see this being I see the Steam Deck as an enthusiast device, a luxury enthusiast device. I don't see it as anything more than that, and that's why Nintendo doesn't have to react to this, because this doesn't threaten Nintendo's in any way. It really doesn't.
Well, and here's the thing. And this goes back to my point. If you bought a Switch for just the third-party games, you bought it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
It's just flat out, in my opinion. Because you buy a Nintendo system because they build that for what they want to build and what they have imagined for that generation of consoles and that experience that they want to bring you. Right? Now, they need third-party support to keep other developers on and to bring more people in so they can start getting them into their ecosystem of games. And some people like those and some people taper off. I know Relic doesn't play as much. I know John doesn't play as much. They bought it initially. I think you've got one too, Mike, and you don't play it all that much.
Which
it's not
one?
really a system for you.
The
Switch. Yeah.
No, my kids have Switch Lites.
Okay.
Which they play all the time.
Yeah.
They play their Switches. They play their Switches all the time.
Now I don't know if you've got one. Do you, Robert?
Yeah,
I don't.
We got two actually. So I have my own, and then there is a family Switch, and the family Switch gets played more than mine personally, because I don't have a very large Switch library. So I played through Pikmin 3, and I'm in between games now. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do a lot more retro gaming recently, so I haven't exercised mine as much as I should have. I'm so glad I have it, and I have a lot of really good games.
Switch has a really good, I'm very excited about when you sign up for the $4 a month or whatever it is, you have access to all those digital games on Nintendo storefront. I haven't played. I have all those games already, so as well, except for there's a couple there.
Right. Well, it also gives you another way of playing those. Like, say, like if you're going to travel and you still want to mess with one of those, it's easier to play it, like, say, on your Switch than it would be to, like, say, disconnect your Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And try to carry it with you, right?
Now, I don't know if Thumb Brothers is still in the chat, but he plays a lot from the Switch.
He does. He absolutely
and he uses the rewind, like when he's. I remember when he was doing a Ninja Gaiden video, when he was, he probably does it on Twitch all the time, but he would use the rewind function to kind of go over strategies and tips and tricks and stuff. So it definitely has a following. He definitely does stuff that the regular consoles don't do.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it for the niche that it's in. However, it is approaching 1 o'clock. Mike is falling asleep. My wife's probably giving up on me. Robert's sitting his stride because I think it's just like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, my wife went to bed an hour ago and it's 9 o'clock now. So my night's just getting started.
So he's good.
I got like another hour to go sleep on the couch. So.
So what do you guys think on this topic? Do you like where things are going? Do you think they kind of need to be course corrected a little bit? As far as handheld and gaming goes, do you think we're going to continue to go with this kind of like more bulky handheld system kind of thing? Or do you think we're going to start to slim down again? Because I feel like they've gotten too big. Like even the Switch is a little awkward to use in handheld mode. For
I couldn't imagine actually using that as a portable system. It's portable in the sense that I could take a different room in the house. That's
right. And I've used the Switch in handheld mode before, and I use it for a little bit. But I usually tend to gravitate towards something that's more of a Game Boy factor. Yeah. And long term.
Well, I expect it would follow the same peaks and valleys that the phones do, because it's the cell phones. It seems like every generation we're going up a size or down a size. I think we're constantly trying to decide where as a society if we want a big console or something pocket sized. So
yeah, Yeah, absolutely.
I would imagine that everyone would agree eventually at the end of the day that a slightly smaller system is just more convenient if you actually want to carry it around with you. But something that's as big as a keyboard, I don't know.
That's why I think that Razer Kishi and like a phone is a good mix.
It is.
I think that's where Mike had the right idea, because if you want to play something, you're okay with something in that form factor, you can plug into that, or you can try it. But the thing that I just don't think the phone is the right form factor, because one, they're all over the board, and two, I don't want to use my screen space as my controller.
No.
I find it's too inaccurate.
Yeah, if you're going to use your phone, you need some sort of controller to go with it.
Yes.
I mean, and I that even goes for, kudos to them for doing this in Game Pass and I keep calling it xCloud, but they've officially called it Xbox Cloud Gaming. There are a number and growing games where they have added touch controls to those games to try to make it more friendly, and it really doesn't work well. It just
I never liked touchscreen controls at all.
No, it just doesn't. It doesn't work.
I've messed with it with the new Contra that came out, and it works okay. But that's mostly because Contra does a lot to help you in that version, to make it playable.
Yeah. So good night, guys. Resvergram and Game Love. Good night, guys.
Yeah, guys.
I don't know where handheld gaming is actually going, because right now the big players have moved out and are making way for, I mean, look what's happening now. So we talked earlier about the reissue and attempted resurgence of Tiger. Everybody is the remakes of the, we didn't even talk about this, the remakes of the Game & Watch that are actually games and not just the Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch is actually the NES version of Super Mario Brothers. Mm-hmm. So you have those. Sega with the stupid little mini Game Gears.
Those little
those things are ridiculous. I took one look at it because I was really excited when I saw it, and then I saw the size and how they split it up. I went, no, thank you.
It looks like something that Japan would really like.
Yeah, and that's really what it was built for.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we talked about the Playdate. We talked, the Evercade. These are the handhelds that are sort of hitting the market now instead of the next DS, the next Sony handheld, Microsoft's non-attempt at a handheld. You're not seeing the big three in the handheld space anymore, with the exception of the Switch. So now I think
Nintendo has considered themselves in both markets at the same time because of the Switch.
Yeah, sure. They call it a console, but it's not. And the Switch Lite is nowhere near, because the Switch Lite can't even dock or connect to a TV.
Right.
Or connect to a TV. So the Switch Lite is in its pure sense a handheld. Beyond that, you don't have anybody else making handhelds. So that void has been filled with retro and the Playdate, which honestly is more retro than anything else, a black screen with little mini games. I don't know where handhelds are going, especially with phones. I mean, we can't, and this I'm assuming this will be our next topic, when it's not 1:00 in the morning. But we are going to talk about the mobile market and how it impacts. And I believe I'll give a little preview on that conversation. I believe the mobile market has an awful lot to do with why you're seeing the handheld market where it is now, and why it may not change from that.
Yeah, because everybody's got a phone.
Right.
And so it's so easy just to grab something and mess with it on your phone and consider that you're on-the-go gaming, because you can use it for everything else as opposed to...
Respawn is beta testing Apex Legends right now.
Oh, God.
That should tell you everything you need to know about where they care.
Well, PUBG and Fortnite are already on there. I mean, and so is Call of Duty. So I mean, I don't personally like those because I don't think you can get enough battery life to really drive those the way you need to. But we could cover that whenever we cover that topic.
Yeah,
but because we can easily spend another 2 hours on that.
We could.
So, any last thoughts? Any last words? Anything you guys got going on this week that you're kind of hyped about or want to talk about before we wrap up?
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead, Rob. Actually, go ahead.
I was inhaling so I could cough.
Oh,
it looked like I was about to say something, but no.
It did look like you were going to say something. No,
that would be dope. I agree, Raiden. That would be dope.
Oh yeah. Well, I would even take something that played Genesis games, without a generic emulator.
Yeah.
No. But
like a Sega Nomad Mini. Basically just put this on a handheld system. This exact thing. This was a really good selection of games that came out. I pay $100 for that.
Yep, with the ability to add more.
Yeah, well, SD card slot.
Well, then that could be another new stuff that they could do. I mean, you could do one of those minis with like a Wi-Fi and like extra storage, so you could download new titles.
And the Wi-Fi would also let you do multiplayer on Genesis multiplayer games.
Yep. And that would be a way of getting those retro games out, and then bringing some of those things in. And then instead of people like cracking them and doing stuff like that, you just have a marketplace where they can just grab those. And it's focused around those experiences as opposed to the Switch, which is trying to be all things.
Yep. So, all right. So Thursday night, we've got a very, very interesting show coming. So I know you wanted to touch on it, but on Thursday night, we're going to touch it. We're definitely going to hit Halo. We're going in on Halo because I know
I almost want to be on that panel because I
might need you. I might need you because I have a feeling I'm gonna get ganged up on.
I'm not a fan of the splitting up.
I'm not,
and I have some theories that I know other people share as to why they're doing that.
Yeah, I'm not.
We're not going to be positive towards Game Pass, and I like Game Pass.
Well, and I want to make this clear because what I've seen on social media is, if those who have an opinion that this is all fine and dandy, that's okay. That's okay. I'm definitely up to having this conversation, but those are the people that are going, well, everybody else needs to just calm down and everybody else just needs to. No, if your opinion is not the sole opinion on how this is. There are many people that are sitting on both sides of this, and neither of them are the authoritative opinion on anything, to be quite honest with you. But right. I'm not going in on that. Oh, well, since this is how I feel, this is how everyone must feel. And if you don't feel this way, sit down and shut up. No.
Yeah, that's a problem across the board for everybody lately.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into it. I might sneak you in because I might need some help.
I got you back on this one.
We're having
because they've tried to do that crap before, and I think they tried to do that with like Halo 4. Eugene,
you missed the whole show. Yeah, right. Yeah, you dorks again, but you came in when we're ending.
I think he was streaming tonight. He probably had a good stream going.
So, but it's gonna be. I have a feeling. So we have a guest coming on. Eternal Shaddai is a really good guy, really good friend of ours. But my guess is it's gonna be 3-on-1. So
yeah, you might need to back up, man. What do you got going on, Robert?
I got nothing going on. Probably continuing to play GameCube is probably what my next 2 weeks are going to be.
Mine is me debating on whether or not I want to release this or not because I'm not sure if it's coming out entertaining or not. I'll go ahead and
I know the handle. Can we just take a quick second?
I know it's so cute and friendly. It's a kid's lunchbox.
It's a lunchbox.
It's so inoffensive
That was a
it's
very
like,
safe assumption, Eugene.
Yeah, it's like cotton candy.
No. Oh, thank
I'm leaving
you.
life based solely on the faith that you're awesome. Thank you.
Well, that shirt in your avatar is awesome. That purple cube doesn't have.
Eugene's dope, man. His streams are great. He's a hell of a nice guy.
Yes. And
his kiddo, he's been doing streams with him on the weekend. That's
awesome.
been pretty fun.
Awesome.
His kids expressed an interest in streaming, so he's been playing games with him on the weekend and having him on stream and kind of coaching him a little bit to see if he kind of likes it.
Eugene's probably the nicest guy on YouTube.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
Cool. By the way, GameCube games are this size.
Yes, they are. And if you guys are not sub to Eugene, you should go check out this channel.
I think that I did the last time we had our show and he was in the chat. Yes. I think I did.
And then Panda Sub as well, because Panda Sub does amazing work.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
And DJC is always fun.
Oh, of course.
Like, if you want... You need your daily DJC and stay through the end, because there's always, like, an extra little clip.
Yes, he is like the Marvel of
he really is. He really is.
So,
oh, DJ, I might have to shadow ban you, man. I might have to shadow ban you now. You do not speak ill of GameCube in this house.
Hated the system?
It's not allowed. It's not allowed.
No,
you're allowed an opinion, sir, but not that one.
No. Wow. It's okay, buddy. It's okay. The mean man didn't mean that. He didn't.
So I may be dropping a video on me learning to play Contra on kind of doing hard mode myself.
Ooh.
Because I'm going to start out with 3 lives, and I'm not going to use continues. So however far I get is however far I get, and then I'm going to reset. And it's basically me forcing myself to learn Contra. Because I feel like it's a learning experience that I don't see people do online very much. You see plenty of people who are already very good at the game, who already spent all the time getting good at the game. Like Robert's a great example. He can go through that game with a pea shooter on the second run through. And he'll die a few times, but he can do it.
11
because he's familiar with the game. He's spent a lot of time playing the game and getting good at it. But you see people play it that way, and then you see the average person try to pick up that game and play it and get their teeth kicked in and go, well, I'm just not very good at this, right? Well, that's not how that works, right? So I thought it would be an interesting experiment to basically set myself a clock and go 30 minutes, as many runs as I can get in. How far can I get? If I'm in the middle of a run, I don't stop. I just finish that run, but I don't start another run after that point, right?
Right.
And just to see how far I can get, kind of going over and over again. The idea is that the muscle memory, my reaction time, not necessarily reaction time, but me anticipating what's coming up next will start to carry me through rather than my reaction time getting faster because I'm old. My reaction time's not quick. I'm 44. I have quick reaction time. So that's an experiment that I'm thinking about doing on my channel. And I have some other stuff I'm kind of recording that I'm going to debut in October or something that I want to do as a themed month. And I'm thinking about doing a video on things that Steam has done over the years to try to get into your home thing, which covers the Steam Boy and the Steam Machine and the Steam Deck a little bit and kind of goes over more of my thoughts as to why the market's more prepared for this now than they were before and what are some of the pluses and minuses, that kind of stuff. I don't know when that one's coming out. The other one I could just drop. I just don't know if it's going to be very entertaining. I may drop the first one, see how people feel about it, see what they like, see what they don't like, and try to make it more entertaining from there just to get it started, right? I don't know. We'll find out. People don't tend to watch my recorded gameplay content quite as much as they do Robert's content. His is much better than mine in this format.
I think most people are just waiting to see that the guinea pig is going to come back. So
the guinea pig was dope. I missed the guinea pig. Rage quit on Ghosts and Goblins. If you haven't seen his older episodes, go back and watch his older episodes with the guinea pig. He was pretty great.
Nice.
Whatever happened with Pablo? Does he just not
Rocco.
like being on camera anymore? Or
he never likes to be on camera. For one thing, that they say in Hollywood you should not work with kids or animals, and I ignored that, and that's the reason why. Because I had planned to actually have more of those videos coming out this year, but it's just such a pain in the ass to
get him to see
I don't like to listen to him complain. It's like an all-day thing to try to get just one shot of him just look cute for just a little bit while I'm playing a game, or do this. He wants to either run up onto my lap or run away off the couch. So it's just, he's a terrible actor. Worst actor I've ever worked with. Anyway, so there's more videos I have planned, but it's been more fun. Just being kind of part of the community, doing like the challenges, and I have been having a lot of fun with the Let's Play style format. I didn't anticipate those being as popular as they seem to be.
I actually kind of want to start doing more of those, because and the reason I want to start doing them isn't so much just to kind of steal some of your thunder.
Both.
Okay, maybe a little bit, but just a little bit. But in part, it kind of gets me more drive to want to complete a game, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of just picking it up and putting it down and then never touching it again. I feel like if I'm recording it and I'm putting it out on YouTube, people are kind of waiting for the next one potentially, right? So I'm more apt to finish it that way. Both?
Yeah, that'd be both.
That'd be both. So
my wife could say he's like our child. He eats better than my kids.
All right, I'm going to kill the stream here before we get ourselves in more trouble. I've done enough of that tonight. Thank you, everybody that showed up and stuck out with us, and anybody that just popped in, even for just a few minutes. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, do all those things. Everybody, the other two gentlemen who are on the panel with me, whose channels are in the description. Most of you guys are already subscribed to them. If you're not, I highly recommend you do. They do fantastic content, and they often do better content than me, particularly lately. I don't do a lot of content lately. I'm trying to fix that. So, anyway, thank you very much, guys. Have a good night. Till next time. Have a
good night, everyone. Play on, gamers.